I got my security camera working again, but never told my son. When I finally checked the recordings 3 days later, what I saw made my blood run cold. I'm Henry Morgan, and what I saw in that recording at 3:22 p.m. wasn't a break-in. It was my own child, methodically planning my death. My son Michael thought the camera was broken. He had no idea I was watching him photograph my will, call nursing homes, and discuss the best way to make my murder look like a diabetic accident. This story has more layers of deception than an FBI investigation. I went from being a confused widower to becoming a silent hunter, and my son was about to learn that some prey bites back. Before we go any further, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments where you're listening from, because elder abuse happens everywhere, and this story might save someone's life. Sarah always said Michael would take care of me when I got old. She died believing that. March 15th, 2023. Pancreatic cancer took her in 6 weeks flat. The house got quiet real fast. I'm a retired engineer, spent 38 years designing safety systems for manufacturing plants. You'd think I'd know how to protect myself. But grief makes you stupid. Grief makes you grateful for any attention, even when it comes with strings attached. Michael started visiting more after the funeral. Brought Amanda, his wife of 5 years. They'd ask about my medications, my doctor appointments, my memory. Always my memory. "Dad, you seem confused lately," Michael would say, real concerned. "Maybe you should let me help with the finances." I wasn't confused. I was sad. There's a difference, but Michael never was good with nuance. The estate's worth about $1.4 million. The house, my retirement accounts. Some bonds Sarah and I bought back when we thought we'd grow old together. Not rich, but comfortable. More than enough for one old man to live on. Michael knew the numbers. He'd helped me organize papers after Sarah died. Said it was important to have everything in order. I thought he was being responsible. Amanda would hover around during these visits, asking questions about my insulin. I'm diabetic, have been for 15 years. She's got some medical background, nursing school dropout or something. Always very interested in my medication routine. "Mr. Morgan," she'd say, sweet as pie, "are you remembering to take your insulin on time? It's so important at your age." At my age, like I was already halfway to the grave. The security camera was my idea. Been having some break-ins in the neighborhood, and living alone made me nervous. Michael thought it was great, said it would help him keep an eye on things when he couldn't be there. Funny how he forgot I'd installed it. The camera records everything to a hard drive in my bedroom closet. Simple system, really. Motion activated, timestamp on every file. I usually check it once a week, just to see if anything happened while I was out at the grocery store or the doctor. October 12th was a Tuesday. I'd gone to my cardiologist appointment, routine checkup. Left the house at 2:30, got back around 4 o'clock. That evening, I was reviewing the footage, just habit. Saw myself leave at 2:31, normal stuff. Then at 3:22 p.m., my front door opened. Michael had a key. Emergency purposes. I'd given it to him months ago. But Michael didn't know about the second will. The footage showed Michael walking straight to my study like he owned the place. No hesitation, no looking around. He knew exactly where he was going. Amanda followed behind him, carrying what looked like a small toolkit. Michael went directly to the safe behind my desk. It's not hidden. Old Mosler from the 1960s that Sarah's father left us. Michael had seen me open it plenty of times, helping with the paperwork after Sarah's death. But watching him work the combination while I wasn't home, that felt different. He pulled out my original will, the one from 2021. Started photographing it with his phone, page by page. Amanda was taking notes in a little notebook, writing down account numbers, dollar amounts. Then Michael made a phone call, speakerphone, clear as day, on my recording system. "Greenwood Manor? Yeah, I need to discuss placement for my father. Urgent situation." The woman on the other end sounded rehearsed. "Of course, we have availability. The monthly rate is $8,500, and we do accept emergency placements with proper medical documentation." "He's becoming incompetent," Michael said. No emotion in his voice, like he was discussing the weather. "Diabetes complications, memory issues. I have power of attorney." except he didn't have power of attorney. I'd never given him power of attorney. Amanda handed him a folder I'd never seen before. Official-looking documents with letterheads and notary stamps. The paperwork's ready, Michael continued into the phone. Dr. Martinez has declared him mentally incompetent. We need to move fast before he gets suspicious. Dr. Martinez has been my physician for 8 years. Great man, helped me through Sarah's illness, but he'd never declared me mentally incompetent. I'd seen him just 2 weeks earlier for my regular checkup. Blood sugar good, blood pressure stable, mind sharp as ever. The woman at Greenwood Manor seemed satisfied. We can have a room ready by Friday. Will you be handling the financial arrangements? Oh, yes, Michael said, and I could hear the smile in his voice. I'll be handling everything. Amanda was photographing my tax returns now, my social security statements, my bank routing numbers, everything you'd need to access someone's accounts. Michael hung up and turned to Amanda. Friday gives us 3 days. Think that's enough time? More than enough, Amanda said. The medical records look perfect. Dr. Martinez's signature was easier to forge than I thought. Forge. They'd forge my doctor's signature. Michael locked the safe back up, made sure everything looked untouched. They were almost to the door when Michael stopped. Wait, he said. Check his medication. Amanda went to my kitchen, opened the cabinet where I keep my insulin supplies. She pulled out one of my vials, held it up to the light. This is perfect, she said. When the time comes, we won't even need to wait for Greenwood Manor. Michael laughed. Actually laughed. Diabetes complications are so unpredictable. They left at 3:47 p.m., 25 minutes to plan my institutionalization and what sounded like my death. I sat in my bedroom that night, watching the footage over and over. My son, my boy, the kid I'd taught to ride a bicycle, helped with homework, walked down the aisle at his wedding, planning to steal my life and end it. But here's what Michael didn't know about his old man. I'm an engineer. Engineers think in systems. We identify problems, analyze failure points, design solutions. Michael had made several assumptions. First, that I was too old and grief-stricken to fight back. Second, that I trusted him completely. Third, that I'd never find out about his plan. All 3 assumptions were about to be tested. I spent Wednesday morning organizing my thoughts, making lists like Sarah used to tease me about. Engineers love lists. This one was going to save my life. Thursday morning, I made my first phone call. Dr. Martinez, this is Henry Morgan. I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me. Have you ever declared me mentally incompetent? Long pause. Henry, what are you talking about? Your last visit showed perfect cognitive function. Why would you ask such a thing? Someone's been using your name on documents, forging your signature. I need to see you today. The appointment was scheduled for Friday. Dr. Martinez examined the forged documents I'd printed from Michael's photographs. His face went from confusion to anger to something I'd never seen from him before. Fear. Henry, this is my signature, but I never wrote these words. Never examined you for competency issues. Never recommended nursing home placement. He turned the pages slowly. This notary stamp, I've never used this notary. This is sophisticated fraud. How sophisticated? Medical license fraud, insurance fraud, elder abuse. Whoever did this is looking at serious federal charges. Dr. Martinez pulled out his phone. I'm calling my attorney and reporting this to the medical board. You need to call the police. But I wasn't ready for police yet. I needed to know how deep this went. Next stop, First National Bank, where I'd done business for 32 years. Margaret Chen had handled my accounts since Sarah and I opened them. Mr. Morgan, I'm glad you came in, Margaret said, her voice tight with worry. We've had some unusual activity on your accounts. Someone tried to transfer $847,000 to an external account yesterday. Our fraud detection flagged it. Who tried to transfer it? Someone claiming to have power of attorney. A Michael Morgan. Says he's your son. I showed Margaret the forged POA documents. Her expression went dark. Mr. Morgan, this is criminal fraud. We need to freeze all your accounts immediately and file a suspicious activity report. Are you in immediate danger? That was a good question. Michael thought his plan was moving smoothly. The nursing home was expecting me Friday. The forged medical records were in place. My money was supposed to be in his control. When he discovered his plan had hit a wall, what would he do? Margaret, I need you to freeze the accounts, but don't file any reports yet. Give me 48 hours to handle this my way. Sir, I can't recommend... I'm not asking for recommendations. I'm asking for 48 hours. She agreed reluctantly. Engineers understand risk assessment. I was about to take some calculated risks. My next call was to Patricia Wells at Elder Protective Services. She'd helped my neighbor Jim last year when his nephew tried something similar. Mr. Morgan, what you're describing is a classic elder abuse pattern. Forged documents, medical fraud, financial exploitation. We see this more than you'd think. Patricia's voice was professional but kind. How do you want to handle this? I want to catch them in the act. Get them on record confessing to the plan. That's dangerous. These situations can escalate to violence. They're already planning violence. My son's wife tampered with my insulin. They're not planning to wait for nursing home costs to drain my estate. Patricia was quiet for a moment. You'll need law enforcement involved. Detective Sarah Hoffman handles financial crimes. She's good, discreet. Can you come in tomorrow? Friday morning, the day I was supposed to be committed to Greenwood Manor against my will. I'll be there. That evening, Michael called. Dad, we need to talk. Can I come over? Of course, son, you're always welcome. But when he arrived, he wasn't alone. Amanda was with him, carrying that same small toolkit from the security footage. Dad, we're worried about you, Michael started. His voice had a practiced quality, like he would rehearse this speech. Your behavior's been erratic. The doctor thinks you need more care than you can manage alone. I let him talk. Engineers value data collection. We've found a wonderful facility, Greenwood Manor. Very comfortable. Staff can manage your medications properly. We can move you tomorrow. Tomorrow? Just temporarily, Amanda added, her voice honey-sweet. Until we can assess your needs better. They had moving boxes in Michael's car. I could see them through the window. What about my house? Don't worry about that, Michael said. I'll take care of everything. You just focus on getting better. Amanda opened her toolkit. Inside were syringes, vials, rubber tubing. We brought your evening insulin, Mr. Morgan. You missed your injection time. I take my insulin at 9 p.m. It was 7:30. That's early. Dr. Martinez adjusted your schedule, Amanda said, preparing the syringe. New dosage, too, much stronger. Someone had been planning this for months. I watched Amanda prepare the injection, my mind calculating odds. Too strong a dose would put me in diabetic shock. An ambulance, a hospital, confusion about who had medical authority. Perfect cover for emergency guardianship proceedings. You know what? I said, standing up slowly. I think I'd like to call Dr. Martinez first. Make sure I understand the new schedule. Michael's face tightened. Dad, it's after hours. You can't bother him now. I have his emergency number. That's not necessary, Amanda said quickly, setting the syringe down. We can wait until tomorrow. Get you settled at Greenwood first. But I was already dialing. Dr. Martinez answered on the second ring. Henry, is everything okay? Doctor, my son says you changed my insulin schedule. Evening injection at 7:30 instead of 9 o'clock. Silence. Then, Henry, I never changed your schedule, and I would never authorize anyone else to administer your insulin. Who's trying to give you an injection? I looked at Michael and Amanda. Their faces had gone white. Just some family members trying to help. I'll call you back. Michael was on his feet. Dad, you're clearly confused. The doctor probably forgot. The doctor didn't forget anything. I set the phone down carefully. Just like he didn't forget signing those competency documents you've been passing around. Amanda grabbed her toolkit, started moving toward the door. But Michael stepped closer to me. Dad, you don't understand what's happening. You're sick. You need help. I understand exactly what's happening. You're stealing my money and trying to kill me. The words hung in the air between us. No going back now. Michael's mask finally slipped. The concerned son disappeared, replaced by something cold and desperate. You can't prove anything? Actually, I can prove everything. I walked to my desk, pulled out the printed screenshots from the security footage. Michael and Amanda going through my safe. The phone call to Greenwood Manor. Amanda examining my insulin. October 12th, 3:22 p.m. You didn't know I had a camera. Michael's face went from white to red. You've been spying on us? I've been protecting myself. Good thing, too. Amanda was already at the front door. Michael, we need to leave. Now. But Michael wasn't moving. His hands were clenched into fists. You have no idea what you've started, old man. I know exactly what I've started. I've started fighting back. That's when Michael told me the rest of their plan. You think you're so smart, Michael said, his voice dropping to something I'd never heard before. Pure hatred. You think this is over? He pulled out his phone, showed me the screen. Bank statements. My bank statements. I've been accessing your accounts for 3 months. Power of attorney or not, money moves when you know the right people. Your precious $847,000, I've already transferred $340,000 to offshore accounts. My retirement, Sarah's life insurance, gone. The nursing home was just to make it legal, Michael continued. But you want to play games? Fine. We'll do this the hard way. Amanda came back from the door. Michael, shut up. No, let him know. Let him understand what happens to stubborn old men who don't know when to cooperate. Michael sat down across from me, leaned forward like we were having a friendly chat. Here's how this works, Dad. Tomorrow, you're going to call your bank and authorize the remaining transfers. You're going to sign a new power of attorney, properly witnessed. You're going to check yourself into Greenwood Manor voluntarily. And if I don't? Amanda answered that one. Diabetics have accidents, insulin overdoses, very tragic. But these things happen to elderly people who don't manage their medications properly. Sometimes they happen even when they think they're being careful, Michael added. Amazing how quickly someone can slip into a coma. And once you're unconscious, well, medical decisions get made by next of kin. They'd thought this through, every angle covered. The beauty is, Amanda continued, no one questions diabetes complications in a 67-year-old man living alone, especially one who's been struggling with memory issues according to his concerned family. Michael stood up. You've got until noon tomorrow to decide. Cooperate, and you'll live out your days in a comfortable nursing home. Fight us, and you won't live to see next week. Some choice. It's more choice than most people get. We could have just done this without warning you. They moved toward the door again, but Michael turned back. Oh, and Dad, don't bother calling the police. Who are they going to believe? A confused old widower making wild accusations, or his respectable son trying to get him proper medical care? Especially when his doctor's records clearly show mental incompetence. Dr. Martinez's signature is on the documents. His medical license number is on the letterhead. Unless you can prove those documents are fake, which you can't, because they're filed with the state medical board now, his word against yours won't matter. Amanda had forged more than just the initial documents. She'd backdated them, filed them officially, created a paper trail showing months of cognitive decline. We even have witnesses, Michael said. Your neighbors have noticed how confused you've been lately. Mrs. Patterson next door, she's been very worried about your memory problems. I hadn't had any memory problems. But if my neighbors thought I did, how long have you been planning this? Since Mom's funeral, Michael said simply. Watching you grieve, seeing how vulnerable you got. It was obvious you couldn't handle things alone anymore. I handled 40 years of marriage, raised you, built a career. That was then. This is now. And now you're a liability. Amanda checked her watch. We need to go. Remember, Dad, noon tomorrow. Don't make this harder than it has to be. They left me sitting in my living room, surrounded by the wreckage of everything I thought I knew about my family. But they'd made one crucial mistake. They'd told me the truth, and I'd recorded every word. Friday morning, I met Detective Sarah Hoffman at Elder Protective Services. Patricia Wells was there too, along with David Richardson, an estate attorney she'd recommended. Mr. Morgan, Detective Hoffman said, what you're describing is criminal conspiracy, elder abuse, attempted murder, and financial fraud. The problem is proving it. I handed her the security footage printouts, Dr. Martinez's statement about the forged documents, the bank's fraud alert records. This is a good start, she said, but we need them to confess to the current plan. The threats, the insulin plot, the coercion. They confessed last night. I played them the recording from my phone. Michael's threats, Amanda's description of the insulin overdose plan, their admission of the offshore transfers. Detective Hoffman's expression went hard. Mr. Morgan, this is enough for arrest warrants, but I want to catch them in the act. Get them on tape attempting the murder. David Richardson, the attorney, looked up from his notes. There's another issue. If they've been filing forged medical documents with the state, and if there really are $340,000 in fraudulent transfers, we're looking at federal charges, FBI territory. How long would that take? Weeks, maybe months. And in the meantime, you're in danger. Patricia Wells leaned forward. Henry, there's something else you should know. Greenwood Manor isn't a legitimate nursing home. We've been investigating them for 6 months. They're part of a larger scheme, taking illegal patients, billing Medicare for services never provided, keeping people sedated and isolated. They're not expecting a patient tomorrow. They're expecting a victim. Detective Hoffman stood up. Mr. Morgan, how do you feel about wearing a wire? Michael was about to discover his inheritance was gone. The wire was smaller than I expected, thin as a pencil lead, taped to my chest under my shirt. Detective Hoffman tested it twice, made sure the signal was clear. Remember, she said, your job is just to let them talk. Don't push too hard. Don't ask leading questions. Let them hang themselves with their own words. At 11:45 a.m., my doorbell rang, right on schedule. Michael and Amanda entered like they owned the place. Amanda was carrying a medical bag this time, something more official looking than her toolkit. Dad, I hope you've had time to think about our conversation. I've thought about it. Michael sat down, pulled out a folder of documents. New power of attorney forms, bank transfer authorizations, nursing home admission papers. These just need your signature. Once that's done, we can get you moved to Greenwood Manor this afternoon. They're expecting you. I looked at the papers without touching them. What happens to my house? I'll handle the sale. Market's good right now, should get full value. And the money from the sale, Amanda answered. Nursing home costs are expensive, Mr. Morgan. About $8,500 a month. Plus your medical care, medication management. The money will go toward your comfort. All of it? Michael's jaw tightened. Dad, we've been through this. You're not in a position to manage finances anymore. According to who? According to Dr. Martinez's medical evaluation. According to the state medical board. According to anyone who's observed your declining mental state over the past few months. I picked up one of the documents, pretended to read it carefully. This power of attorney gives you control over everything. Someone needs to be responsible. Even my medical decisions? Amanda leaned forward. Especially your medical decisions. You've already proven you can't manage your insulin properly. Last night you nearly took the wrong dose at the wrong time. But you stopped me. This time, what about when we're not here? What about when you're confused and alone and you take too much insulin? Michael added, people your age with diabetes, accidents happen all the time. We're trying to prevent that. I set the document down. What if I don't sign? The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Dad, Michael said slowly, you're going to sign. Am I? Amanda stood up, opened her medical bag. Inside were syringes, vials of insulin, rubber gloves, professional medical restraints. Mr. Morgan, we hope this could be voluntary, but your safety is our priority. My safety? Michael's mask was completely gone now. Your cooperation. Sign the papers or we'll have you declared incompetent by emergency court order. 48 hours in psychiatric hold while we get proper guardianship. And if I fight that? You won't be conscious to fight anything. Amanda pulled on latex gloves, started preparing a syringe. Insulin overdose symptoms start with confusion. Progress to unconsciousness, then coma. Very peaceful, really. I watched her draw insulin into the syringe, enough to kill a horse. By the time paramedics arrive, Michael said, you'll be unconscious. Diabetic emergency. Your loving family will have to make the difficult decision to place you in long-term medical care, where I'll never wake up. These things happen. Diabetes is unpredictable in elderly patients. Amanda tested the syringe, squirted a small amount into the air. Professional technique. The nice thing about insulin, she said, is that it's natural. Your body produces it anyway. An overdose just looks like your pancreas failed. How did you learn all this? Nursing school. Before I met Michael, I worked in elder care. You'd be surprised how many family members ask about accelerating natural processes. And you helped them? Amanda smiled. I helped families resolve difficult situations. Some people just take too long to die naturally. Michael pulled out his phone, started recording. For the record, this is October 15th, 12:17 p.m. My father, Henry Morgan, is experiencing a diabetic emergency due to medication mismanagement. We're administering emergency insulin as directed by his physician. Except that's not what you're doing. That's what the recording will show. Your confused rambling about conspiracies and murder plots will just confirm your mental incompetence. Amanda moved closer with the syringe. This won't hurt, Mr. Morgan. You'll just feel sleepy. I looked at my son, my boy, the child I'd loved unconditionally for 42 years. Michael, I need you to understand something. What's that, Dad? You have no idea what you've started. Amanda grabbed my arm, looking for a vein. Michael held me down. Actually, old man, we know exactly what we're starting. We're starting your funeral. That's when Detective Hoffman and her team kicked in my front door. Police, nobody move! Amanda dropped the syringe. Michael let go of me, stepped back with his hands up. What the hell is this? Michael shouted. Detective Hoffman cuffed Amanda first, then Michael. This is you under arrest for attempted murder, elder abuse, financial fraud, and conspiracy. Michael looked at me, his face twisted with rage and confusion. You called the police? I stood up, straightened my shirt where the wire was hidden. I did better than that. I recorded everything. Detective Hoffman read them their rights while Patricia Wells took photos of the syringe, the medical equipment, the forged documents. The recording captured everything, I told Michael as they led him toward the door. Your confession to the offshore accounts, Amanda's admission about insulin overdoses, your plan to fake my death. Michael stopped fighting the handcuffs. You can't prove anything. I just did. But that wasn't the end of the story. That was just the beginning of justice. You have no idea what you've started, old man. Michael was wrong about what he'd started, but I was about to discover I was wrong about how deep this conspiracy went. 3 days after the arrests, I got a phone call from FBI agent Rebecca Martinez, no relation to my doctor. She sounded tired. Mr. Morgan, we need to talk. Your son and daughter-in-law are part of something much bigger than simple elder abuse. We met at the FBI field office downtown. Agent Martinez had files spread across a conference table, photos, financial records, medical documents. Greenwood Manor isn't just a fake nursing home, she said. It's part of a network. 12 facilities across 3 states, all running the same scam. Take vulnerable elderly people, isolate them from family, bill Medicare for services never provided. How many people? Over 400 victims in the past 5 years. Total fraud, $47 million. I stared at the photos on the table. Elderly faces, confused and frightened. People like me who'd trusted their families. Your daughter-in-law, Amanda, she's done this before. 6 times in 3 different states. Always the same pattern. Marry into a family, identify vulnerable elderly relatives, execute the fraud. She married Michael specifically to target me? We think so. Her real name is Amanda Patricia Kellison. She has nursing training, but also a record for healthcare fraud. She met Michael 18 months after your wife's diagnosis. The timeline made horrible sense. Sarah got sick. Michael started worrying about inheritance. Amanda appeared like an answer to his prayers. How did they find each other? Agent Martinez pulled out another file. Online forum, estate planning discussion group. Sounds innocent, but it's actually where people share techniques for accelerating inheritance. She showed me printouts of forum posts. Michael's username was PatientSon42. Father won't cooperate with nursing home placement, has substantial assets, but refuses to make arrangements. Need advice on medical competency proceedings. Amanda had responded as Caregiver Angel 38. PM me. I have experience with difficult situations. Medical background. Success rate 100%. They courted online for 6 months before meeting in person. Agent Martinez continued. Shared techniques, planned strategies. By the time they had their first date, your son already knew how he wanted you to die. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. How many others? Amanda's previous targets, Robert Chen in California, insulin overdose, appeared natural. Dorothy Williams in Texas, medication accident during nursing home transition. James Morrison in Florida, diabetic coma, family chose to withdraw life support. 3 people, 3 families destroyed. Why didn't anyone catch this before? Because it works. Elderly person with medical conditions dies under family care. It's tragic, but not suspicious. The money transfers happen and gradually over months. By the time anyone notices, the victim is dead and the perpetrator has moved to another state. Agent Martinez pulled out Amanda's photograph, not the woman I'd known, but a professional mugshot from Florida. She was supposed to disappear after your death. New identity, new state, new target family. Michael would have inherited your estate minus her consulting fee. How much was her fee? 60%. Your son was going to kill you for $560,000, then give most of it to a woman he'd known for less than 2 years. But there was more. Mr. Morgan, we found something else. Amanda had already identified her next target. She showed me a printout of emails between Amanda and someone called Lonely Daughter 91. My mother is 73, early-stage dementia, owns a $900,000 house. She trusts me completely but won't discuss estate planning. Afraid my brother will contest any inheritance. Need advice on medical guardianship procedures. Amanda's response was detailed, professional, a step-by-step guide to murdering an elderly parent. We tracked down Lonely Daughter 91. Jennifer Walsh, 45, lives in Phoenix. Her mother is Margaret Walsh, 73, retired teacher. Jennifer contacted Amanda 2 weeks ago. Before or after my arrest? After. Amanda was recruiting new clients from jail. I sat back in my chair, trying to process the scope of what I'd stumbled into. This wasn't just about my son's greed. This was about a systematic network of family murder. What happens now? Federal task force. We're coordinating with 12 states, tracking down every victim family, every perpetrator in the network. Your recording of Michael and Amanda is the first direct evidence we've had of their methods. Agent Martinez closed the files, looked at me directly. Mr. Morgan, you saved more than your own life. You may have saved dozens of other people. But I wasn't feeling heroic, I was feeling sick. My son was going to kill me for money he was going to give away anyway. Your son was going to kill you because he'd found a community that told him it was acceptable. That elderly parents are burdens to be disposed of when convenient. She pulled out one more document. Michael's psychological evaluation from jail. No remorse. No recognition that he'd planned murder. When asked about his father, he said, quote, "He was selfish for not dying naturally. It would have been easier for everyone if he just had a heart attack." Michael wanted me dead, not just for money, but for convenience. Agent Martinez stood up. There's something else you should know. Margaret Walsh, Jennifer's mother in Phoenix, she's alive because of what you did. We arrested Jennifer yesterday before she could implement Amanda's plan. 1 life saved, maybe dozens more. Will you testify? At every trial you need me for. But as I left the FBI office, I realized the deepest betrayal wasn't Michael's greed or Amanda's manipulation. It was the discovery that there were hundreds of other families like mine. Hundreds of children who'd decided their parents' lives were less important than their inheritance. Michael had found a community of people who thought like him, who supported him, who gave him detailed instructions on how to commit the perfect murder. My son hadn't just betrayed me, he'd joined a movement, and that movement was still out there, recruiting new members, planning new murders. The war wasn't over, it was just beginning. One more conversation would end this. The wire for the second recording was more sophisticated. FBI equipment instead of local police. Agent Martinez wanted everything digital, federal court admissible. Michael's been talking in jail, she said, trying to cut a deal by giving us information about the network. Problem is, we think he's lying about how deep this goes. What do you need from me? We need him to talk about the forum, the network, other participants. He won't talk to us, but he might talk to you. Why would he talk to me? Because you're his father, and because we're going to tell him you're thinking about dropping the charges. The jail visit was scheduled for Tuesday. I'd never been inside a correctional facility before. The noise, the smell, the weight of desperation in the air, it felt like a place where hope went to die. Michael looked smaller in the orange jumpsuit, thinner, but his eyes were still cold when he saw me through the bulletproof glass. Dad, he picked up the phone on his side. I wasn't sure you'd come. I needed to see you. Listen, I know you're upset about everything, but you have to understand I was trying to help you. Amanda convinced me that you needed more care than... Stop, I cut him off. Don't lie to me anymore. I know about the forum, about her previous victims, about Margaret Walsh and Phoenix. Michael's face went white. How much do you know? I know enough. The question is whether you're going to help clean this up or spend the rest of your life in prison. What do you want? I want names. I want details about the network. I want to know how many other families are in danger. Michael leaned back, studied my face. Why? What's in it for me? I might consider reducing the charges. Manslaughter instead of attempted murder. Financial fraud instead of elder abuse. 20 years instead of life. It was a lie. Agent Martinez had made it clear there would be no deals until we had everything. But Michael didn't know that. You'd do that? For me? You're my son. Despite everything, you're still my son. Michael's shoulders relaxed slightly. Dad, you have to understand. Yeah. Success stories about murdering their parents? About resolving difficult situations. Look, I know it sounds harsh, but society changes. 100 years ago, people died at 65. Now they linger until 90, consuming resources, requiring care that bankrupts their families. So you form online communities to discuss murder techniques. Michael shrugged. We share information about natural appearing methods for expediting inevitable outcomes. Give me specifics. Medication errors, medical equipment failures, slip and fall accidents that look genuine. Amanda was brilliant at insulin manipulation, completely undetectable if done right. Who else is involved? There are organizers in every major city, people with medical backgrounds who provide training, financial advisors who help with estate planning around anticipated deaths, even funeral directors who ask fewer questions about sudden deaths in elderly patients. Names, Michael. Why should I trust you? Because I'm your father, and because this is the only deal you were going to get. Michael thought for a long moment. Then he started talking. For 47 minutes, he gave me names, locations, methods, and victim identification. A complete blueprint of the largest elder abuse network in American history. Agent Martinez, listening through my wire, later said it was the most comprehensive confession she'd ever recorded. Michael finished by saying, Dad, you have to understand, we were saving you from years of suffering. No, son, you were murdering me for money. Same outcome, better motivation. The recording captured everything. The federal indictments came down 6 weeks later. 47 arrests in 12 states. The largest elder abuse bust in FBI history. Michael and Amanda were charged under the RICO Act. Racketeering, organized crime conspiracy. Federal prosecutors called it Murder Incorporated for the Medicare generation. The trial lasted 4 months. I testified for 6 hours. Over 2 days, playing the recordings, explaining the timeline, walking the jury through how close I'd come to being another statistic. Amanda's defense was that she was just providing end-of-life consulting. Michael's defense was that he believed he was helping me avoid suffering. The prosecution played recordings of their jail phone calls, Amanda coaching Michael on what to say, how to minimize their involvement. Remember, Amanda said in one call, we were preventing elder abuse, not committing it. Your father was vulnerable, isolated, not managing his health properly. We were trying to get him professional care. But the insulin thing was medication management, Diabetic patients need precise dosing. If there was an error, it was accidental. Michael learned fast. By the time he testified in his own defense, he sounded almost convincing. Your Honor, my father is a proud man, too proud to admit he needed help. I was trying to arrange care for him, but he was resistant to any change. Amanda, with her medical background, was trying to ensure his medication routine was safe. What about the threats of violence? I was frustrated, scared. My father was deteriorating, but he couldn't see it. Sometimes you have to be forceful with elderly people who aren't thinking clearly. You told him you would murder him. I was trying to make him understand how dangerous his situation was. Diabetics living alone face life-threatening risks every day. The defense strategy was elegant. Paint me as a confused, paranoid elderly man misinterpreting his loving family's attempts to help. But then the prosecution introduced evidence from the other victims. Robert Chen's son in California had used identical language in forum posts, trying to help my stubborn father accept necessary care. Dorothy Williams' daughter in Texas. My mother refuses to acknowledge her declining condition. James Morrison's son in Florida. Sometimes you have to make hard decisions for people who can't make them themselves. All coached by Amanda, all using the same script. The prosecution's final piece of evidence was Amanda's laptop, recovered from their apartment. Detailed files on potential victims, including psychological profiles and financial assessments. My file was labeled HM, Oregon, diabetes, grief vulnerable, 1.4 MS state. Timeline, 6 to 8 months. Timeline. They'd given themselves 8 months to murder me. Under cross-examination, Amanda finally broke. Do you have any idea what it's like dealing with these people? She snapped at the prosecutor. Elderly patients who refuse to cooperate with medical necessity. Families bankrupted by selfish parents who won't make rational end-of-life decisions. So you decided to make those decisions for them? I provided solutions for impossible situations. By murdering elderly people. By resolving medical crises efficiently and humanely. Insulin overdoses are humane? Amanda's voice turned ice cold. More humane than years of decline, medical bills, and family destruction. These people were going to die anyway. I simply optimized the timing. The jury took 3 hours to convict both of them on all counts. Michael got life without parole. Amanda got death. The first death sentence for elder abuse in federal court. At sentencing, the judge asked if I wanted to make a victim impact statement. I stood up, looked at my son for what I knew would be the last time. Michael, for 42 years, I loved you unconditionally. I would have given my life for you. Instead, you decided to take my life for money. Not because you needed it, not because you were desperate, but because a woman you'd known for 2 years convinced you that my life had no value. Michael stared at the table, wouldn't look at me. I want you to understand something. The money you were going to steal, it's going to the National Center on Elder Abuse. Every penny. They're going to use it to educate families about these schemes, help other victims, prevent other murders. I turned to Amanda. You told the court that you provided solutions for impossible situations. You were wrong. You were the impossible situation, and the solution is making sure you never hurt another family. As for the forum, the network, the thousands of people who think elderly parents are disposable, you're all going to be investigated. The FBI has your membership lists, your communications, your victim files. I paused, looked around the courtroom. My son thought being old made me powerless. He thought grief made me vulnerable. He thought trust made me stupid. He was wrong about all three. I'm 67 years old. My wife is dead. My only child is a convicted murderer. But I'm not powerless. I'm not vulnerable. And I'm definitely not stupid. Michael, you wanted my inheritance early. Congratulations. You got it. Every penny is going to make sure other children don't murder their parents. Some bridges burn so others can be built. The judge sentenced them immediately after my statement. Michael learned what real powerlessness felt like. The morning after sentencing, I drove to my attorney's office to finalize the document that would change everything. David Richardson had the papers ready, a complete revision of my estate plan, reflecting decisions I'd made during 4 months of testimony and reflection. Are you certain about this, Henry? I signed the holographic will with steady hands. I've never been more certain of anything. The document was simple, direct, and devastating for anyone who thought they could profit from my death. I, Henry Morgan, being of sound mind and body, hereby revoke all previous wills and codicils. I direct that my entire estate, valued at approximately $1, $4 million, be donated to the National Center on Elder Abuse, to be used specifically for education and prevention programs. To my son, Michael Morgan, who attempted to murder me for financial gain, I leave $1 to confirm that this omission is intentional. To anyone else who believes elderly lives are disposable for convenience or profit, I leave this warning. Families are watching, law enforcement is listening, and justice is patient but inevitable. But the will was just the beginning. Henry, there's something else, David said. The FBI wants to work with you on a longer-term project. Agent Martinez joined us by conference call. Mr. Morgan, we've identified over 400 potential victims from the forum membership lists. People whose elderly relatives died under suspicious circumstances in the past 3 years. How can I help? Education, speaking to families about warning signs, testifying in the cases we can still prosecute. You've become the face of elder abuse survival. What about the forum itself? Shut down, servers seized. But these networks migrate to new platforms constantly. We need someone who understands the victim's perspective to help us recognize new schemes. David handed me another set of documents. They want you to consider becoming a consultant for Elder Protective Services. Part-time work, travel to other states, training law enforcement on recognition and prevention. I looked at the consultation agreement. It would give purpose to whatever years I had left, turn my personal tragedy into a tool for protecting other families. There's one more thing, Agent Martinez added. We've recovered about $180,000 of the money Michael and Amanda stole from various victims. The courts are allowing us to return it to families where possible. What about my $340,000? Offshore accounts were frozen. We should recover most of it within 6 months. What do you want us to do with the money when we get it back? I thought about Sarah, about the life we'd planned together, about the son we'd raised who'd become a predator. Add it to the donation, make it $1.7 million for elder abuse prevention. After the call, David walked me to my car. Henry, are you ready for what comes next? Media attention, speaking engagements, reliving this story for years? I looked back at his office building, thought about the legal papers that had just changed my life completely. For 40 years, I designed safety systems to prevent industrial accidents. I spent my career protecting people from preventable dangers. This is just a different kind of safety engineering. Engineering solutions for family predators? Engineering solutions for family protection. Teaching people to recognize when their children stop being children and become threats. David shook his hand. Your son thought he was inheriting your life's work. Instead, he created it. I drove home thinking about that. Michael had wanted my money, my house, my accumulated wealth. Instead, his betrayal had given me something more valuable, a mission. The hunter had become the protector. The victim had become the weapon. And across the country, there were families who didn't know they needed protection yet. Michael learned what real powerlessness felt like, but I learned what real power looks like, the ability to turn personal trauma into societal change. 2 years later, I'm sitting in my home office, the same room where Michael once searched my safe, preparing for tomorrow's congressional testimony on elder abuse prevention. The house feels different now. Sarah's pictures are back on the mantle. The security cameras are still there, but they protect me from strangers now, not family. I've testified in 18 states, helped convict 47 elder abuse conspirators, and trained over 2,000 law enforcement officers to recognize financial exploitation patterns. The $1.7 million donation created the Henry Morgan Elder Protection Initiative. It's funded educational programs in 200 communities, helped establish elder abuse courts in 12 states, and created a national database of suspected family predators. But the work that matters most is smaller, more personal. Yesterday, I got a call from Martha Henderson in Nebraska. Her daughter had suddenly become interested in her financial affairs, was pushing for nursing home placement, asking about her insulin routine. Mr. Morgan, I watched your interview on the news. The things you described, they're happening to me. I walked her through the warning signs, helped her contact local law enforcement, connected her with a trusted attorney. This morning, her daughter was arrested attempting to forge power of attorney documents. Martha Henderson is alive because Michael Morgan tried to kill me. The math of that exchange, my son's betrayal saving other people's lives, doesn't balance cleanly. But justice isn't about balance. It's about prevention. Next month, I start working with a documentary crew. They want to tell the story of elder abuse from the victim's perspective, show how predators recruit family members online, demonstrate how easily loving children can become threats. The working title is Family Predators. Michael's story will be the centerpiece. Some nights, I think about visiting him in prison, not for reconciliation, that bridge burned completely, but to understand how a man can decide his father's life has no value. Then I remember Amanda's words. These people were going to die anyway. I simply optimized the timing. There's nothing to understand. Some people are broken in ways that can't be fixed. My job isn't to fix broken children. My job is to protect vulnerable parents. The security camera still records everything, but now I review the footage not for threats, but for hope. Neighbors checking on me, delivery drivers being kind, evidence that most people are decent. Michael thought being old made me powerless. He was wrong. Being old made me dangerous to people like him. Being betrayed made me focused. Being targeted made me a protector. Some bridges burn so others can be built. The bridge I'm building connects vulnerable elderly people to the protection they deserve. That's not the inheritance Michael wanted, but it's the legacy he created. And every day it saves lives.